Here we are for another episode of Representing the Workplace, and I'm joined by the amazing Amardeep Sirha, who's currently running her own IT consultancy, AmarIT,
AmarTi.
AmarTi.
AmarTi, yeah. It's fine. AmarTi. It's a bit of a mismatch of, as you know, my name
Yeah,
and
yeah.
my business partners and something that they run.
Okay.
I actually didn't choose it. When they said it, AmarTi, I was like, brilliant. So it's Amardeep at Amarti.io. Like, people don't know whether to call me AmarTi, Amardeep. It's a bit of a mouthful, but yeah, they get it.
Yeah.
AmarTi.
So yeah, first question then. What has been your favorite thing to do to keep busy during lockdown?
They're saying. I don't think I've had a favorite thing. I think I'm not on any social media apart from LinkedIn, so I haven't been able to follow like trends or get ideas.
Okay.
So interestingly, when last March, I found myself in a situation where I'm based in London. I found myself in an Airbnb for
Yeah.
about 2.5 months. When I chose the Airbnb and it was beautiful, whatever, there was no kitchen because London life, you don't really eat at home.
Yeah.
A week later, we went into lockdown, and I was like, "Oh, cool." So initially, I found interesting what pot noodles are the best pot noodles because that's all I could eat. So I found myself running a lot. Like I like running anyway, so running a lot and eating pot noodles and discovering like blending flavors and stuff of pot noodles.
Yeah, yeah.
I then moved into a place in Camden, which is where I am now, and I found I got a kitchen back, so I started cooking a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how to bake. I don't like baking, but I learned to bake.
Okay.
And then I think staying in touch with people, so FaceTiming and just chatting. My family's all up north, so I chat to them every day.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I'm still one of those people that sometimes just sat around and was like, I've been laying on the floor for an hour now. Where did that hour of my life go? So it's not been fun. It's been
Yeah.
awful. So I think just the things that people are doing. I read anyway. The one
Yeah.
thing is I don't really watch TV, so I haven't been able to like binge series or anything like that because I don't really enjoy TV. So
Yeah, I'm the
it's
same.
been it's been difficult, but it is what it is. Hopefully,
Sounds
we'll
like you're getting through.
experience it again. Sorry.
It sounds like you're getting through though, and you are keeping busy like as much as possible. And then,
Keeps
yeah,
me.
hopefully we come out the other end really soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
But yeah, so I'm moving into the more serious questions now then,
Okay.
Amadee. So can you just give me a bit of a rundown of your career journey from the start or even before starting your career to where you are now running your own business?
Yeah, cool. So I actually taught initially. I was a teacher of
Yeah.
business and economics. Did that for about 8 years. Did that all over Yorkshire. Lived in Mexico City for a few years doing it.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was pretty fun. And then came back. When I came back to England, I ended up in Essex, of all places. And it was I was at a great school with great staff, great kids, and I was just remember waking up one day and kind of being like, "Oh, I could definitely retire from this job." And it came out of my mouth, and I was like, "Absolutely not."
Yeah.
And it was nothing to do with the school or the kids or anything or my ability. It just was like it's just not for me anymore. Um, so I left. I did lots of different things. Recruiting, teaching, recruiting, waitressing, data analyst, like anything I could possibly do to like get some money. Ran out of money after about a month for my mum and dad. I was like, I'm coming home. Went back up north. So came back up north and again like just relentlessly applied for anything because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and that was the hardest thing. I just knew I didn't want to teach anymore.
Yeah.
Didn't really understand how to transfer my skills, didn't even know what my skills were really. It was like a really awful period. I'd say it was about 6 months to not even that, like between about 4 months and 8 months
Yeah.
of just like being completely lost. Like I was just like, have I made the right decision? What are my skills? And you know what I found? I didn't have anyone apart from like moral support. No one around me really helped, like at
Yeah.
all. So I was like, oh, it's a bit, poor. Ended up at a boxing match, my brother's boxing match. Started speaking to my cousin, who's really done well in tech,
Yeah.
and after a few little sippies, he was like, "Why don't you go into tech?" And I didn't know what that was. and he was like, your skill set is like really transferable to a business analyst.
Yeah.
So started looking into that, started researching it, started doing a bit of like home courses, applied for a position, got rejected loads,
Yeah.
and then got a call back a few months later. And that's where it started. But I very quickly went from business analyst to delivery manager, like
Oh, wow.
very quickly. In fact, I was doing both roles essentially
Yeah.
for the majority of the time. That was at my first position, which was in Sky. And that's how I kind of like ended up in tech, but I've never looked back, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. And then, so you were a business analyst, but then how did you get from there to where you are today?
By mistake, I think. When the head of tech originally hired me, I was the first hire into the Sky team that the tribe that he was building. So I very quickly had to become anything that we needed at the
Yeah.
time whilst we were hiring. So that's how and because we were doing a lot of the hiring and a lot of the let's see how this tribe is going to work, etc. I became the delivery manager of the whole tribe. So
Okay.
that's how I got into delivery. But I always kept I wanted to always keep my hands a little bit dirty. So and it was the delivery manager of the tribe rather than a specific project or product.
Yeah.
So I just like portfolio management almost.
Okay.
So I would always like have a little small project so I could keep BAing and keep learning and stuff like that. So that was good. And then from there I went into consultancy for a few years.
Okay.
And again, like in the delivery capacity. Really enjoyed delivery, really enjoyed consultancy. And I think because I have had such a good career in teaching, it was like a good career. It was, successful career.
Yeah.
I then learned how to transfer those skills. And I realized a lot of my, what I would call success now in technology, my foundations were built from my teaching career. So I will never push that into the past and be like, oh, I was a teacher for a bit back in the day. Absolutely not. Teaching and the skills required to teach are like second to none. Like they're unbelievable. Like getting 30 kids to sit down and you can't go to the toilet. Nah, you learn a lot of skills. And I think that's what happened. And then I think my next kind of position was gonna go into like a director type role and stuff. And I've got no bad blood with any of the companies, any of the schools I've worked with, anything like that. And it was just kind of like that natural, you know what, it's time to go. I'd met my business partners at the time. I was actually in Thailand February last year, just before any of this became like a thing.
Oh, lovely.
And I went with my now business partner, just like hooked onto his trip. And I was like, oh, can I come? And he was just like, look, if you want to do it, let's do it. Got back and handed him a notice in, and we set up operations on the 1st of April last year. Brilliant. Yeah. And we've never quite looked back, although it's been one of the most difficult years of my life, like personally and professionally.
Yeah.
I don't regret it. There's things I might have done differently, but I definitely don't regret it. So that's how I ended up here.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like it's been an interesting journey where you've definitely taken all like opportunities presented to you and learned a lot along the way. So that's amazing. So what is your job title within your business now?
Well, I call myself the head of delivery and obviously co-founder or director or whatever the case is. Titles are not really important to me. I get in and I'll do the job that's handed to me. And it's generally you'll get delivery manager, project manager, delivery lead, tech lead, whatever the case might be, but they all fit in. But I am definitely sit firmly in the delivery capacity, but definitely with a technical background because I learned how to code and stay abreast of stuff like that. And I enjoy the technology part of technology. So
just in case there's anyone watching this thinking of following your path, can you just tell us a quick overview of what a delivery manager is?
Yeah, cool. So it's I like to say it's a blend of project management, but then like what traditional project management was, but with a blend of new methodologies. And with the key being, are we going to deliver rather than and a little bit more close to the project. So maybe traditionally project managers was sat a little bit outside of what the actual team were doing. And I think a good delivery manager knows exactly what's in, let's say if they're using sprints, what's in their sprints, what's in their backlog, what the product owner's vision is, what the engineer's skill set is. Like they're so like they're like part of the glue of that team. And they work well with everyone. Like they're they're never so far out that they
Yeah.
don't understand what's going on, but also, you know, like making sure that message goes upwards as
Oh,
well in the
brilliant,
career.
brilliant. And then, so what does an average day as a delivery manager look like for you, Amardeep?
I think when I'm like firmly on a client, I think it's making sure the team is operating in the best way that they possibly can. It sometimes bleeds into Scrum Master if there isn't a Scrum Master there. So you're making sure you're doing all those kind of events or ceremonies that take place if you're working in that kind of manner.
Yeah.
You're also making sure that backlog is nicely refined. You're making sure communications are going out to different people, and you're organising time. I read recently that I don't know if this is gospel, but I read it like yesterday on an article that points are being removed from like the agile manifesto. So like story points are not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a bit on the fence about, because I'm in that delivery space, and I think you should always have an idea of what can be achieved in what time so that you can plan effectively. That doesn't mean bash the team over the head to hit a day. It just means we can probably do this in this amount of time. So it's also doing that kind of thing in the metric side.
Yeah.
And obviously communicating with as many people as possible, and identifying gaps. So we're going to roll out a new app or website, and it's going to drive loads of traffic.
Yeah.
Purchasing a product. Is your customer services team set up correctly? You know, like managing those little gaps, because sometimes people think technology and they go really like that, and they don't think it touches every single other person in the business. So it's just being that.
Cool.
And being smiley and happy.
Thank you for that. Thank you. How long did you say you've been working as a delivery manager now? Or within delivery management?
5 years,
Okay,
6 years,
cool.
between 5 and 6 years.
Fair enough. And during that time, what's been your favorite thing about delivery management?
I think it goes back to my teaching days. Like it's delivering something. So like, you know, working on projects is really intense, like especially like high profile projects. They're really intense and everybody's really stressed out, and there's always politics, and there's always like a bunch of really lovely people, and then maybe a few more people that are not so lovely.
Yeah.
And then when you finally get something over the line, or you finally push it through, like through blood, sweat and tears, that's for me my favorite bit. And I think it goes back to education, because you know, if you speak to any teacher, like they're overworked, underpaid, like, so really it's an amazing profession that is not given the limelight it's supposed to have. But when those kids get their grades,
Yeah.
it's the same feeling for me. It's not as you know, maybe not as fulfilling as a child getting their target grade, but it's the same type of feeling, definitely the same impact on me. So it's when I take something over the line,
Oh, brilliant.
especially when someone says it can't be done.
No
There might
matter
be a
what
few
you
hiccups, but I'll get it done.
do, no matter what you do, though, it's always a lovely feeling to achieve your goals or feel like you've completed something, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And then another one, what made you choose this particular career path rather than other routes in technology?
I didn't know. I just didn't know what technology was. So that like it, even when I like left teaching and I was like, oh, what should I do? What should I do? This didn't even enter my thoughts, because I didn't know what it was. And luckily for me, I had a family member that is in technology who like opened my eyes.
Yeah.
So that boxing match and getting drunk with my cousin. Literally that, like, because there was no other way I was going to get this route in. And you know, even when I spoke to my cousin, there's a few people afterwards was like, oh, you won't be able to do it, like it's such a male dominated industry, you need to have years on your CV, you won't be able to do it. And all that did was fuel that fire inside me. And I remember my cousin ringing me the next day nice and sober and going, you still keen? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, right, come over to my house. And I was like, you know, I can't thank him enough for that, because it really paved a new career for me. But it was only because he opened my eyes. The rest was obviously I had to do and he made that really clear. You got to do the work. I can't, because one thing that he said to me, and I really appreciate this now in hindsight, I was mad at the time, but it was like, I'm not going to coach you through an interview, because if I coach you through an interview and you get the job and then flop, falls back on me and my reputation. So what I'll do is I'll coach you enough, and the more you show me and show your initiative, you'll be able to handle it yourself. And so it was a good, at the time I was like, why didn't you just tell me what to say in the interview? But he didn't, and he gave me enough. and enough resources to go and check myself. So that's how I try and approach people when I support them now as well.
That's brilliant, brilliant. And just on that then, how do you support people at the moment? Like, if someone wanted to connect with you and get to be like you, how would they go about it?
So, I'm very supportive of like a lot of my circle is still in education. A lot of my friends, my long-standing friends, are still in education.
Hmm.
So if they're thinking about changing their career, etc., I wouldn't say coach, because some of these people are more fantastic than me, but I give them, this is what my route was and these were my hiccups were.
Yeah,
Let me have a quick look at your CV, because you don't realize some of the skills that you have. Like, if you're managing a budget, for example, if you're a head of department, you manage a budget, you manage your faculty, you're in a management position. You just don't see it as management. You see it
yeah,
as,
yeah,
like I was head of economics. I didn't see it much more than that. Equally, and a lot of my network will know this, but you can reach me on LinkedIn. Like, if I have the space in my diary, and I try and take about three people at any one time, because I don't want to fail them. I'm
yeah,
willing to mentor anyone, and it doesn't have to be a young woman. It can be anyone. You can be a man who's white in his 60s. I don't care. Like, if I can give you something,
yeah, yeah,
fantastic. And what I often find, especially when I mentor very young people, like 16, 17, is I get something back from it. I get this fresh perspective as well.
yeah,
I hear opinions, and I see views that I've maybe grown out of, or maybe I'm just not aware, because although I'm not that young, despite my looks, but even the generation gap between 30s and 20s doesn't seem like a lot, but with like technology and social media,
yeah, yeah,
it's massive. Like, if I
yeah.
could do my makeup the way that some of these people do their makeup when I was that age, I would have been a model. A completely different career. So you get all these fresh perspectives, which is why I don't turn down mentoring. But if anyone's out there and they're keen, like, just hit me up on LinkedIn. And if I ain't got the time now, I will say, let's be back in touch in 2 months or 3 months or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah. That's wonderful. And I love that so much. So I'll definitely make some noise about that
Yeah, 100%.
when I post this, because I'm sure you'll inspire and be able to help a lot of people
Wherever I
as well.
can, wherever I can.
Oh, wonderful. Is where you are today where you thought you'd be 10 years ago?
Do you know what? I read this question, and I thought to myself, and I nearly broke down into tears, because
Sorry.
no, it's fine, because absolutely not, but not in a positive way. Like, honestly, like, coming from my background as well, which is
Yeah.
I'm Indian heritage, like Indian African heritage, I was like, well, I'm confused, because I should be married, and I should have a couple of children, and I should have a house, and
Okay.
a man, not anyone else, a man should be paying for everything. So I'm really confused. And I'm actually happily divorced, but
Okay.
I have had to unlearn and continue to unlearn so many behaviors and opinions and things about me and my culture and my heritage that is not relevant. I'm not going to say it's incorrect, because that
Yeah,
would
yeah,
was correct, for example, for my mum, right? But for me, it's not relevant to my life.
yeah,
And so, no, I'm not where I thought I'd be in 10 years' time. And for reasons that I think when people meet me, they wouldn't even believe, because sometimes I still, especially when I've had a really bad day, I don't think, oh, I wish I was a millionaire. I was like, well, I'm supposed to be married. Shouldn't even have these problems right now. I
fair enough.
should be in a meeting room. I should be cooking dinner. So it's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
should I be like, is this where I thought I would be? Absolutely not.
oh yeah, fine.
Am I happy? 100%, but it's not where I thought I'd be. So even though I'm extremely happy in life,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's adjusting to a different happiness. It's really
Okay.
weird. It's a really weird feeling. And like, I talk to a lot of women my age as well, especially if they haven't gone down that kind of route, which is fine. That route is perfect. Like, it's a valid route to go down
Yeah,
as a person. It just didn't happen that way for me,
yeah.
for various reasons. So, I speak to other people that maybe, similar to my age and not married and Indian, and they're just kind of like, they'll still say phrases that are outdated in my culture, stuff like, oh, you gone past your sell-by date, which is a big thing in my culture to say.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
kinda like, oh, I've done a good 10 years past my sell-by date.
yeah.
So,
But yeah, thank you so much for being so open and honest there. And also like give yourself credit for all the great things you've achieved.
Yeah.
And obviously I hope the personal life side of things, you get to where you want to be on that
Oh,
side as well.
that's just it. But that's the beautiful thing. It changes and it opens your eyes. I'm really happy where I am personally and professionally. It's just, you have to unlearn. And that's another thing why I like to mentor. And this is where the young women come back, and especially from like ethnic backgrounds. I mean, all backgrounds, but specifically ethnic backgrounds, there is a certain expectation, and it might not be explicitly said, but it's there, and it's ingrained in your behaviors and your thinking, and not always the one option to do. And now, if someone said to me, swap your life and you be this thing that you thought you were going to be 10 years ago, I'd be like, absolutely not.
Is there anything that you've done to help you readjust to new ways of thinking, or do you think it's just been because you've had to do
it? You know what? I sit in this is a weird thing for a lot of people, but I sit in the feeling. So if I feel happy, or if I feel sad, or if I feel angry, I sit in the feeling. I sit in the feeling and I ride it through. And then at the end of the feeling, that could be a day or 3 days, or I never let it go past a week. And then I'm like, right, cool, now what? So
Get back on the horse.
You've allowed yourself to have the biggest pity party in the world, like the universe is around you, you're the center of it, blah, blah, blah. So, but now what? And I think the more I ask myself that question, the more it like spurs me on, because otherwise I could very much, just how my life went down different ways, I could very much end up as a bitter person. So my advice to other people would be like, sit in the feeling, feel it, because it's important to feel the feeling. But now what? Because soon everyone's going to leave your pity party and you're going to be there on your own. So you have to like find the strength to be like, cool, now what? And it might be the smallest thing, like tomorrow I'm going to shower. It's not a big thing to us, but it's a massive thing to a lot of people.
Love that. That's brilliant. Thank you again for being so honest in that segment, and for the excellent advice. Moving on to questions now, more about like workplace culture, identity, and yourself. What do you feel that you represent, or who do you feel that you represent when you're in the workplace?
It's a really interesting question, this, and I had a really interesting conversation with my dad and my sister are like my idols. And just before I left, and there's a question I always ask my mum, which is, Mum, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? And she always says, I don't know, because I never got that opportunity. I don't know. So it's really like, I mean, it's really difficult. So I had this conversation with my dad and my sister before I decided to like go out on my own, and I said, oh Dad, I don't know if this is the right decision, I'm scared. I was crying a lot, and I was like, I don't know what to do. What if I make a mistake and then I have to eat my pride and go back to a job? And he was like, so he was just saying, so what, you can go back. And my sister went, look, do you want to hashtag a woman, or do you want to be the hashtag for other women? That's what she said to me. And I was like, wow, because and if there is a woman out there that has had a similar life to me that I can look up to and learn from, I would love that. But unfortunately, in my circle, I can't find anyone to reach out to. And so I have to pave my own way. And therefore, I make a lot more mistakes professionally and personally. And I've just been so lucky that I've worked in companies where I have like categorically effed up sometimes. And they've just been like, it's cool, man. Let's go chop it up. Let's go sit in a meeting room and chop it up on where you went wrong. And, and I think that's why I've become so confident and stuff. I've always been confident, but more so. And it's because I ain't got anyone to, especially in the workplace, like in technology, I'm kind of looking around, begging for someone to look up to. So I struggle to identify with anyone. So I've always been a little bit, I always find myself as well, I'm a social butterfly and I get on with everybody, and I always do. But I have struggled sometimes to make meaningful relationships because I've struggled to identify.
Thank you so again, brilliant answer. And then through being a woman or a woman of Indian and African descent in the workplace, are there any stereotypes or ideologies that you feel you've had to disprove?
Oh my God, you're so aggressive. And it's like I hate when people say that to me. I'm black and white, and I'm very aware of that. I'm not
Yeah.
aggressive, and in fact, it's so. Do you know how much it runs into that the stereotype that people are trying to disprove runs into their veins. Like this morning, I put on this blouse, which is I love this blouse. Like it's one of my favorite blouses. It's like a little treat that I bought myself like a year ago. It's quite expensive. It's silk. Like I love it. And I looked in the mirror and I turned to my partner and I went, "But does it make me look a little bit aggressive?" And he went, "What?" And I was like, "Do I look like a bit out there?" And he went,
Yeah.
he just kept going, "I'm really confused." And I realized this because it's a print, because it's a leopard print, like, does it make me look
Yeah.
aggressive? So
Yeah.
it stems hard, you know. So sometimes I have to be careful what I'm wearing. But because I'm so conscious of people calling me aggressive, got a bit of a potty mouth at times. I've got tattoos. And I think it's just, she's aggressive or she's a bit rough. And it's like,
Yeah.
even if I am, so what? As long as I'm not doing anyone any sort of detriment, what's the problem? But I wouldn't say I'm aggressive. And I constantly, sometimes I find when I'm saying something that is a bit blunt, or if I'm giving feedback or whatever the case might be, I
Yeah.
have to constantly like smile and laugh, but it's not genuine.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
genuine from me. So I'm trying loads of different techniques and reading at the moment to not come across aggressive. But what I'm finding is most of the things that I'm reading
Yeah.
is unfortunately written by a woman, and it's actually furthering the stereotype of a woman. So now I just do what I do.
Yeah. Do you feel that having to hold yourself back or hold your tongue or change the way you'd naturally react has affected your career or you in situations at all?
Do you know what? It goes back to what I said before, where I worked in good companies where I've been allowed to fail fast, and
Okay.
where maybe 3 years ago even I might have said something or behaved in a certain way where I didn't think at the time, not necessarily aggressive, but was the correct behavior. My companies have been like, this is why, this is how it looks, this is what
Yeah.
perception is, this is why perception is reality, Amardeep. And I've got my head around perception is reality now. So it doesn't matter. And people generally will not take the time to get to know who you are, especially
Yeah.
in place. So your perception is reality. So I wouldn't say it's not hindered anything
Yeah.
at all, despite a lot of ups and downs I've had, which
Yeah.
everyone has. But it's definitely taught me a lot. Like as I'm getting older, I'm kind of like, okay, cool. Like I
Yeah.
can't do that. Like I'm not 18 anymore. Okay.
Yeah. Are there any hurdles that you've encountered on your career journey that you'd like to discuss today?
Um, do you know what? I think more than a hurdle, it's a fear. Like, I mean, I've had hurdles my whole, like in teaching, like I think everyone does.
Yeah.
There's nothing that stands out. Like I don't particularly want to say that as a woman I felt a certain type of way, because I don't think I have. What I found is it sometimes, even for someone like me, I walk into a room and I feel a little bit intimidated, and that's not based on what other people are making me feel like. That's based on my own fears, and
Okay.
they stem right back to childhood and how women are like brought up, etc.
Yeah.
Girls. So, but one thing, like something that like is a lot of fear I have now is my business partners are amazing. Like they're two amazing, amazing men. Um, Sometimes when I have a meeting, I'll say to them, can you lead?" And
Yeah.
they look at me a little bit dumbfounded, and I'm like, I just feel like if you say it, it'll be taken seriously. And
Yeah.
I realize I'm saying that because they're white men, but it's nothing to do with them. It's the way I feel. Now
Yeah.
that obviously, the way I feel has obviously stemmed from something.
Of course.
Um, and it's a myriad of factors. We can't. There's so many variables. You can't just say it's down to one particular thing. But it's a fear I still have to today, especially now that we're online. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I get on with everyone. I don't ever have a problem. I never have a problem winning work. I never have a problem. I read a lot and I research a lot, and I go well equipped into a conversation, and I back it up by delivering, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I'll just be like, "Oh, can you lead? Can you lead?" Or maybe put your name on the email. Send the email from your name, not my
Yeah.
name. And that like it annoys me still, because I just think it's like, really, like we're still doing that, like
Yeah.
really, like,
But it's
but it's still a thing. It's
mm.
just how we manage it. I think it's a lot less of a thing. Even when I entered the industry 5-6 years ago, and to now, I think it's drastically changed.
Yeah.
People push towards diversity. I think it's changed a little bit now because people are scared to say something like, "Okay, I want to tackle this. How?" Whereas I'm a little bit like, goes back to me being black and white, where I'm just like, "There's nobody in here that looks like me. Just FYI," like that.
Yeah.
That'll spark a conversation. So.
If there was somebody who was like you, who looked up to you and wanted to follow a career in delivery management, what advice would you have for them?
I would say it depends how, like let's say they're just coming sort of out of university and going straight into it. I'd be like, you know what, read around your subject.
Okay.
Don't be really narrow-minded where you just look at one specific course, you do the course and you expect to get a job. It doesn't work like that. Like, read around your subject, learn about different industries. So if you want to be a delivery manager now, you could, in technology, is fortunate enough to be in every single industry.
Yeah.
You might find yourself being a delivery manager in a fashion company. You might find yourself being a delivery manager in a data AI company. So read around the industries and get to know the industries. The other thing is, like, get to know the methodologies and never discount old school methodologies. Like, never discount them.
Yeah.
I made a mistake of being a little bit. This was a while back now. I've got one of my mentors is like an amazing mentor, and I used to be like, I don't want to do that old school. I don't want to be old school. And he was like, you are old school, and I was like, I'm confused. And he would show me some of the practices that I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I'm like, huh, But
Right.
it's what I was saying, So just don't be afraid to learn as well, and don't be afraid to apply for a job. Oh my gosh, like,
Bingo.
apply for any job you want,
Yeah.
because it's how you perform on the day. And then when you walk in,
Yeah.
a company wants you to succeed. They've invested in you and hired you. They want you to succeed. So they will support you,
Yeah.
hopefully. So, but yeah, like for me, apply for anything. Like, and I think this is some stats out there, isn't there? That women will look at a job description. If they hit a certain amount, they won't apply. Apply for everything.
100%.
Don't even look at the job description. If it's somewhat what you do, send your CV in.
Perfect. Definitely. I think it's women apply for jobs where they hit 80 to 100% of what's required, and for men it's like 30. So yeah, I just like
I would never have got my job I would never be in technology if I followed that rule.
Yeah.
Like, I had no skills. Well, I had the skills, but the job description, I didn't hit anything, nothing. In fact, in my interview, I think they asked me to whiteboard something, and I was like, I'm just going to draw I didn't even know what they were asking me. I was so confused. I was like, well, I reckon it's something like that, because what they'll see is they'll spot somebody who's more experienced will spot something in you and be like, you know what, he or she has said something that we can pull on, and we can make a success out of them. So apply for everything.
100%, especially at entry level. They're more trying to see the way you think and the way you do things, rather than are you doing everything 100% right all the time. And then with regards to companies and culture, what do you think the fundamental parts of creating an inclusive culture within a business are?
Make it so that people don't feel like they need to wear their label or mask when they walk into the company.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Whether that label or mask was given to you or whether you gave it to yourself, shed it at the door and walk in.
Okay.
Like, that's how we run ours. Like, we don't encourage masks or labels, so take them all off.
Yeah.
And show us what's underneath it, and we'll just, we'll decide as a team of people whether we need to work on it or not. But it's really difficult because of who I am and how many boxes I tick, which annoys me as well, because why do I have to tick boxes? Why can't that person tick boxes? It's hard for me because I hate the phrase, I don't see colour, but I'm brown, so you better see my colour, right? I hate the phrase diversity, like, it's okay, cool, like, we pass that, say something else.
Yeah.
And I hate when someone is the token of Black Lives Matter, right? How come I spoke to so many people where they were the only Black person in the company, or one of a couple, or maybe the most vocal one, and they were asked to give, like, to help provide a statement on behalf of the company, get educated and do the statement yourself.
100%. Yeah.
Like, sorry, suddenly this particular, what if that person does that? Let's just use a black female,
Yeah.
right? What if she does not feel comfortable? What if she doesn't want to give the
True.
statement? And now she's already been probably discriminated against in ways that no one understands. And now
Yeah.
she's got this tremendous amount of pressure to be the spokespeople for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
So these things just drive me insane. Like, if we can eradicate stuff like that,
I
brilliant.
agree. I agree. Definitely on that point. I think businesses should use their own time, own resources, rather than forcing their employees to educate them.
Yeah,
Like there's plenty of organizations out there, people, books, material that will give you the information you need.
yeah.
Whereas especially if like in a tech business, for example, you might have a black developer who just wants to be a black developer. Like they
I
don't
don't
want
want to
to
be anything else.
be
I don't want to be black. I just want to be a developer. You know, like I just want to be. I'm a developer.
yeah, yeah,
That's one of the things that really grates on me. And so I try really hard. It's not that I don't see color. I see everybody's color. I see
yeah,
every
yeah,
creed. I see your religion. I see your faith. I see your belief. I see what you believe in. And it doesn't. The key is it does not impact what I think of you professionally.
yeah,
It's as simple as that. And it just so happens I come across more white people in the workforce just because of the industry that I'm in.
yeah,
However, if I went into social care, I would see
yeah,
more women. You know, like it's industry, and I'm glad we're tackling it. But man,
100%.
let's do it correctly.
Yeah,
Let's do it correctly. I get really passionate about stuff like that. Sorry, especially when because I feel like a lot of the time things are latched onto as a trend, and
okay,
what really like I've got my friends come from all different backgrounds and cultures, well-to-do people, not well-to-do people, like just every single kind of background you can imagine. And obviously, when the Black Lives Matter movement got a lot more attention, it's always been there.
yeah,
Make
for
that
real,
very clear. But it got more attention and media coverage
yeah,
last year. Good. I'm glad it did, but it also became a bit of a trend. People were like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
let's issue a statement, let's forget about it, it doesn't impact us. I spoke to a lot of my friends of all different races, and they were just like, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of we've been living it our whole life. We're gonna live it our whole life. We're gonna have to teach our kids about it.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so this whole like trendy, you know, latching on of different cultures and movements,
yeah, yeah,
I don't like it. So that's why
yeah,
I'm a bit like funny about the women in tech thing as well, because like unless I'm making an impact,
yeah,
I don't want my voice to be attached to it. Like
yeah.
let me just make an impact the best way I can in this small space of time I have on this earth.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant. I really do like that. And then, is there anything that you're doing within your new business, AmarTi, to promote inclusivity or diversity at all?
So we one of my business partners, Ben, he handles all the kind of like I'm not saying like day-to-day running of it, and when people apply for work, etc., etc., etc. And when we embark on with clients, he'll like look at all the policies to make sure they've got like a diversity policy, etc., etc. So he
Brilliant.
does a lot of that, and he's been researching recently how to recruit in a more like uh, diverse way, I guess, and
Yeah,
stripping names out of CVs and stuff like that. We will do everything we possibly can. And I think from the three different backgrounds that we come from, just our networks reach a mass amount of people. We're not three white men, you
that's
know.
brilliant. Yeah, yeah,
Our networks reach different types of people in different types of lifestyles. So already we're probably attracting talent
yeah,
that a lot of companies won't, because you know, if I could go and work for someone like me, if I could apply for a job for a company like me, or
yeah, yeah,
work with or partner with a company that had me at the top of it, or a
yeah, yeah.
similar person to me, I'd love that.
That's
I'd love that
fantastic.
because I'd be like, what has she done? Out, you know, the questions would be in my mind if I was like a 20-year-old looking at
Yeah,
me, I'd be like, why isn't she married? What is her story? You know, like I'd have those same questions that
yeah,
like
yeah,
the struggles that I have with now.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
would love to do something like that. Or if she is married, like how is she managing the career at the same time? Did she not get pressure from her in-laws? You know, all these questions.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'd love it. I'd love it. So, and then I also get that balance from Ben and James, because they have both quite different lives as well. You know,
Yeah.
so we managed to attract, our networks span from all different ways, and we bounce ideas off each other, and you know, like where can we tap into, you know, universities that, you know, might be predominantly black or predominantly Asian or predominantly whatever, predominantly
Yeah.
white, whatever the case might be, to go and like give them a chat and let them know about the different careers available to them. Because equally, you know, we want a diverse, we want to work with diverse companies, and we want to work with diverse talent, and
Yeah.
diverse includes, you know, your traditional white middle class man. We
Yeah,
want
of
that.
course.
We want everyone.
It's yeah, like you say, it is everyone. But it's just making sure everyone has equal opportunities and equal
100%.
access to the opportunity. So yeah, that's fantastic. Um, and then I know you're, as you said, that you're currently running your own business, so you're not looking to be employed by another company. But is there anything that you'd suggest organizations do to make their recruitment processes more inclusive and attractive?
I think the stripping of names is a really good one. When I heard that, like, just take the name completely out, I think that's really, I know it's difficult because you
Yeah,
might find them on LinkedIn or stuff like that.
yeah,
But if you're not the hiring manager, and you're the talent team, and you pass the CV on, or you pass the information on, maybe at that stage, strip out age, just strip out any personal detail.
yeah,
In fact, strip out the university name.
yeah,
Strip out qualifications, because this day and age, unless it's something very specific, you never need
yeah.
any qualifications. Like, you get them in your career, you get professional qualifications.
Okay,
So, you know, stripping stuff like that out and just looking at what that person's done, or
yeah,
let's say that they're at entry level, so they might not have done a lot. In
yeah.
which case, get people writing covering letters again.
Okay,
You know, sell yourself to me, because I want to hire nobody. That, what people don't understand is recruiting and hiring is taxing on, like, people's time, the amount of interviews they have to do, the amount of filtering they have to do, the amount of feedback. They, when someone goes into a job, all the people that are involved in your recruitment process want you to get the job.
yeah.
The hiring manager wants you to get the job. So
Facts.
let's give these people, whether they're at entry level or, you know, 50 years of experience, the best opportunity by telling them at the beginning stage, right, give me a covering letter that covers these types of things. We're stripping out all the personal details, and let's get you in.
Yeah, like that. And then, thanks for your time, Amardeep.
It's all
We've
right.
hit the last question now. Are there any companies or organizations that are doing great work in communities you care about that you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I feel really strongly about homelessness, and I just don't think in this day and age anybody should be sleeping rough or not being able to eat. It's something that's really, really close to my heart.
Hmm.
And I recently came across a company. I think it's called Radicals,
Okay.
and they work with, I think, ex-offenders and homeless people to
Yeah.
get them into work, like help them through the recruitment process. I'm still doing research on the company, but it's a company that's been set up specifically to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
fantastic.
fantastic.
That is
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm going to try and get in touch with those people and see if we can support in any way, because homelessness is um, one of the things that AmarTi wants to help with in any way we can. So that definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Like I just said, you've been a brilliant guest. You've given some amazing answers. Thank you for being so open, honest, and yeah, just telling us about you really. So thanks again.
That's all right. Thanks for having me.
No problem.